Hello, my dears. It's me, Kiki ASMR, and welcome back to another video. So I was supposed to post Kenya/listeners backstory Friday, but the video was at least 28 minutes long, and it wasn't going to upload. So I'm doing this in 2 to 3 or 4 parts. So bear with me and stuff. So I'm going to be talking about Kenya/listeners backstory, everything, going into details in just this one part for now, and then when part 2 comes out after this week, which is next week, when part 2 comes out next week and stuff, I will explain the rest. So yeah, let's get right into this video. Okay, so listener/Kenya was born August 22nd, 2005 to Melissa and Austin Rossi. She was born she was born on the day of August 22nd, meaning the time was 1:30 a.m. So, Melissa's due date was August 21st. Kenya came a day late. So I'm trying to think, because Melissa was supposed to give birth to Kenya August 21st. But when the 21st hit, her water didn't break, she didn't have contractions or anything, but she was 1 centimeter dilated. So she kept getting kept checking to see how far along she was from giving birth. She was very close, but she was just 1 centimeter dilated, and she wasn't at least there yet to give birth. So Melissa was very confused as to why Kenya wasn't coming the day of her due date. So when August 22nd hit, that's when around 12 a.m. Melissa started to get very, very bad contractions. Her water broke. She woke up Austin. They packed their bags, literally packed their bags to go to the hospital. Austin called his mother and asked her to watch Gretchen, because at the time Melissa was pregnant. Gretchen was at least 5 or 6 years old. So Gretchen was at least halfway. She wasn't in her teenage years yet, but she was still a child, because Gretchen wasn't born in 2005. She was born in 2002. But yeah, Austin packed the bags. They went to the hospital to give birth to Kenya. When Kenya was born, she was not premature. She was the perfect size, healthy baby. She was 7 pounds and 8 ounces. So she was very, very healthy. The doctors had to run tests to see if anything was wrong with Kenya, if she had any problems that that her parents was going to have to worry about when she was growing up. The only thing that her parents had to worry about was her having psychotic seizures and episodes. When the doctor diagnosed Kenya as a newborn baby that she had epilepsy, everyone, Melissa was like, how could this happen? How was we supposed to know that our daughter was going to end up with this diagnosis? And she felt like she did something wrong, but it wasn't Melissa's fault, basically. It was not Melissa's fault. It wasn't Austin's fault. It was nobody's fault. It was just the way that ʍ괇 was conceived, it was like the powers that she has are strong, and it caused her body to overpower her and everything. It sometimes her powers take control and it just leaves like little marks on her body and stuff. But when Melissa and Austin heard from the doctor saying that their daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy, they were like, okay, so what do we have to do in order to keep our daughter to stay healthy and stuff? They gave Melissa and Austin got pills and an EpiPen to give to ʍ whenever she starts having a episode. So they did more tests because they felt like there was something else that they needed to know about ʍ before they could release her from the hospital. So when they were still running their tests, the doctor came back saying, your child has 2 powers. She doesn't have 1. Because when Gretchen was born, Gretchen was born at the same hospital that ʍ was born at. Gretchen ended up getting her dad's power, ethnicity. And Gretchen came out looking like her dad, exactly like her dad. ʍ came out looking like her mom, with the red hair, blue eyes, and all that. Gretchen looks like her dad because her dad has brown hair and brown eyes. So the doctor is trying to pick the pieces up together, trying to pick the pieces up and trying to connect the dots. Because if Austin has ethnicity and Melissa has fantasy, how did these 2 powers combine for this one child to get both of them? The doctor just stood there saying, your child has both of y'all powers, meaning she's stronger than anyone on this planet. Because ethnicity is the strongest power held in the Rossi family name. And it's basically more powerful than fantasy because fantasy is the second strongest power for Melissa's family. So Melissa was like, are you saying that our daughter has both fantasy and ethnicity? The doctor was like, yes, your child has both of your powers. So she's basically going to be that type of child to have very, very enraged moments and trying her best to heal people when things are going wrong. So that's when the doctor was like, we're going to have to do more tests to see if anything else, if she's going to be diagnosed with anything else. The doctor took more tests. Nothing else was wrong with ʍ. The only thing that she was diagnosed with was, like I said, epilepsy. So they discharged Melissa, Austin, and ʍ from the hospital. They took ʍ home. Melissa calls for Gretchen to come meet ʍ. Gretchen is looking at her sister, and she's like, I'm going to protect her. I'm going to make sure nothing happens to her. So, growing a year later, Gretchen's about 11 and ʍ's about 5. Melissa's pregnant with Rachel at this point. So they're hoping that Rachel would have the power that she has, that Melissa has, but they don't know. So they really didn't know what to expect when Rachel was born. So Melissa is just trying to keep her body steady, trying to make sure that her third pregnancy for her third child is going great, making sure that Rachel's health is in check, making sure everything is okay, because she doesn't want to have another child to end up with another diagnosis like Kenya. Gretchen is diagnosed with bipolar disorder because Gretchen got diagnosed with bipolar disorder at 2 years old. They diagnosed Kenya with epilepsy at just a newborn. So Melissa's doing everything that she should at this point. She's trying to make sure that when she gives birth, that her third child would be a happy, healthy baby. She's trying to make sure that she doesn't have another diagnosis. As soon as her due date comes, her water breaks early. The baby comes early. So they go to the hospital. They give birth to Rachel. The doctor tells Melissa that Rachel has her dad's power. And so they're like, okay, what are you saying? Your child has ethnicity. She doesn't have fantasy. So they're like, okay, it's okay. It's fine. At least they have one child with both powers. Okay. They weren't worried about that. They just wanted to know if Rachel was going to be diagnosed with anything. The doctor did tests on Rachel. Rachel was diagnosed with ADHD. Rachel was diagnosed with ADHD at just a newborn as well. So they were like, "Oh my gosh, Melissa's just sitting there in the hospital room sobbing to death because she did everything in her power to keep her child happy, a happy, healthy baby. She doesn't want her children to go through all these disorders, diagnoses, and everything. She doesn't want her kids to go through the stuff that she's going through because Melissa has type 1. No, she don't got diabetes, but Melissa is diagnosed with a lot of things. She's diagnosed with insomnia. She's diagnosed with epilepsy. She's diagnosed with ADHD, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, everything. She has to take medication for that. She didn't want her kids to end up being like her. So by the time they done the tests, they take Rachel home. Kenya and Gretchen meet Rachel. They are going to protect their little sister. So another year passes by. Melissa's pregnant with her last and final baby. She's trying her best to keep this pregnancy healthy because it's her last child. The last child that she wants to be healthy. So, as soon as the due date comes for Ariana's due date was a little earlier this time. A little earlier. They go to the hospital. They give birth to She gives birth to Ariana. The doctor does tests for the powers first. The doctor comes back telling them that their daughter has ethnicity. They're like, okay. They're not too worried about the powers. All they are worried about is the health of their baby. So the doctor comes back after running the test for the diagnoses and everything. Ariana wasn't diagnosed with anything. She was a happy, healthy baby. So they took Ariana home. Rachel, Kenya, and Gretchen met Ariana. They cared for her and they did everything for her. So this is the end of part 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on your post notifications so you never miss an upload. Subscribe to this channel, please, please, please do. But yeah, that's all for this part because I can't say a lot for just one part. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, theories.